Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week, we talk about the royals and Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 129. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra. I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser. Totally out of practice.
I'm trying to move closer to my mic because I'm at the new house and I want to make sure the sound is okay and everything. We haven't had a podcast in 5 weeks. Sorry about that.
It's fine. It's the summer. Shit happens.
It was a lot because I moved. We meant to have a podcast in the middle, but I just couldn't do it. So I'm sorry.
You're on antibiotics that were kicking your ass.
They were, but I'm feeling better and I'm all moved in. And we're going to have episodes for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be off August 20th. The move went pretty well. The movers were the same ones I used to move into my old house, but they broke my glass table. I mean, I kind of wanted a new table, and they said they're going to pay for it out of their insurance. And my son got COVID, and he got sick the day we were supposed to move. And we masked around the movers, and we told them all that he probably had COVID. We couldn't get a test till that night. And they didn't wear masks, and some of them weren't vaccinated, but I don't think they caught it from him because I didn't catch it from him. So
how bad did your son have it?
He was coughing. He never got a fever. He was coughing a lot. And in mom mode, I had to nag him to get him to take the cough suppressant. And he only took it a couple times, but he still coughs a little bit. It's been, a week and a half or so. But he's a lot better. And we took our masks off a couple of days ago around one another. His girlfriend got it, but she only got a stuffy nose, and her parents didn't catch it at all. So it's wild.
It is wild. The more I think back on it, I do think I had COVID this spring.
Oh.
Well, I got sick like twice in 1 month, and once was just like a stomach bug. But then the second time, I thought it was just a cold. I'm like thinking back about like how tight my jaw felt and like how congested I got so quickly. I do think it was probably COVID.
It could have been COVID. And a lot of people are getting this new variant and they're not getting that sick.
Yeah.
Like my son is boosted. He still got kind of sick. But I've heard of people our age, well, you're younger than me, but getting it and not getting real sick. So that's kind of good.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the immunologists wanted. They wanted everyone to get vaccinated so that if there was some sort of outbreak, that it wouldn't kill people, that we would just get sick.
Yeah. The urgent care where we went, I was like, could we get Paxlovid? And they're like, no, you don't need it. Because I was worried. He was coughing so bad, but he recovered and seems fine now. So
that's good.
Yeah. So the move was a pain in the ass, but I got a 65-inch, I got to brag a little bit. I got a 65-inch OLED TV. It is beautiful. It is the nicest TV I've ever owned. And I'm pretty glad about that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't do a ton, in the past 5 weeks. Well, I guess I watched Wimbledon. That was exciting for me.
I'm jealous.
The men's part of the tournament sucked really badly, but the women's part was kind of fun, especially considering that Wimbledon banned Russians and then a Russian girl actually won.
Yeah.
And I also watched Severance. Everyone was raving about that for months, and I kept putting it off because I was like, I need a solid block of time to just binge watch it one weekend. And I did that 2 weekends ago. I enjoyed it. I get why people were so into it. It's a very weird show.
Did it take you an episode or two to get into the atmosphere? Because it's just so different.
No.
Okay.
I liked the kind of sci-fi but realistic vibe of it.
Yeah.
I got into it pretty quickly, I think.
Okay, because I had to kind of force myself to keep watching it, and I went by what other people were saying about it because I was like, wow, this is depressing and bleak. It's so bleak.
It is bleak, but I thought the payoff in the last 2 episodes was really great. And the only part that shocked me was Helly. and I won't like do any spoilers, but like she's the main character, and like where she ends up in the last episode, that shocked me. It really did.
Yeah, that was shocking. I want to see the next season, and we haven't heard if it's even being filmed.
It is.
Okay, it is?
No, I just read that this week, but they're not filming it right now, but they're planning on it. Like, they've booked whatever. It's going to start filming in September, October, I think.
Okay, very good. So we'll get it next year sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a great show. I'm glad that you watched it.
Yeah. And Ben Stiller, man, he directed most of those episodes.
He did a good job, and it's so unique.
Yeah.
Like, it's so different. I've never seen anything like it.
And the thing I've really started to appreciate about Apple TV shows is how much money they really put into it.
It's cinematic.
Like, Apple TV is putting like serious money into costuming and set design. It's such a like gorgeous payoff for like so many of these shows.
Yeah, I've heard that For All Mankind is really good. People are raving about that.
Mm-hmm. And like, think about how much money they spend on a show like Ted Lasso to bring all of those actors there and to film for months in a row, to rent out that football stadium, you know, and all this stuff. And they just spend the money.
Well, because they don't pay any taxes. They don't pay decent wages to the workers, so they got to put it somewhere. But
that's
it's
awful.
True. It's true. All right, let's talk about the royals. So a lot happened when we were off. We're just going to focus on like the last couple of weeks or so. And the Sussexes went to New York because Harry was invited by the Mandela Foundation to give the keynote speech at the United Nations for Mandela Day. And we heard that the Archewell Foundation is working on a project with the Mandela Foundation as well. And Harry's speech was great.
Yeah, it was great.
He knew the family. He knew Mandela's family. His mom had met him. And, you know, of course, there were dumb articles questioning, like, why Harry would give this speech. Is he qualified? Like, he was invited.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about the British media. They act like Harry is just barging into places uninvited and demanding to, like, make a speech or attend the Jubilee. And the Queen invited him to the Jubilee. The Mandela Foundation invited him to speak at the UN. It's not a matter of qualifications. It's a matter of invitations.
Yes, and when he goes, he does a fabulous job and brings so much attention to the cause.
Exactly.
So why would you not want him there?
Which is probably why the Mandela Foundation invited him in the first place. Let's be real. They wanted to bring attention to the day.
And it worked. So, and we got we got photos of the Sussexes, but they were mostly Getty. And if there were any paparazzi photos, they were exclusives or they were hard for us to get. So that means they weren't tipping people off where they were. And the paparazzi weren't really able to find them that often.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at how exclusive, like mega exclusive, the photos of Harry and Meghan leaving some of the restaurants. Because it felt like, well, the paparazzi knew they were there. Certainly, like, you would think that several paparazzi would be there and that the photos would be valuable, but not so, like, particular to one agency or whatever. That's sort of like inside baseball, whatever. But I was surprised at how exclusive the photos were.
I think it's harder for New York paparazzi and they don't have as many. But Harry and Meghan went to lunch with Gloria Steinem and then they had dinner that night with a group of people. And you posted what they ate for dinner because that became known in the press. And that was like a huge story.
Page Six did a thing. Page Six probably got a tip off from a waiter or someone at the restaurant because it read like an advertisement for the restaurant.
Yeah.
But I like actually looked up the menu and I was like, ooh, they ordered that off the menu? They should have ordered, you know, the roast chicken or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like talking about food, and I love looking up menus of all, like, the celebrity hotspot restaurants.
The fancy places, yeah. I always think about you if I ever cover a wedding story. Like, what did they eat? That's what I wonder.
Well, those are the two big questions for any sort of wedding coverage is, you know, what kind of meal did they serve at the reception, and what was the cake?
What was the cake? I just want to taste the cake. Like, it feels like a big tease to me. I like normal food enough, but I just love desserts, and I want to taste the cake because those wedding cakes are the best. And you can replicate that by just buying like a really nice slice of cake at the store, but I was eyeing them yesterday. They were on sale, but I was like, no, I'm going to be good. I seriously was when I went to the store. So, yeah, that post was controversial because they ate meat or something. Who cares?
Well, they ordered steak tartare. Ugh.
I don't mind it.
I don't know. If you're paying to go out to eat, you better pay them to cook the food. That's how I
don't mind bloody steak. I'll eat it that way.
But yeah, and just for the record, I said, ugh, gross to the sheep's milk cheese. That's just because I hate cheese. I would have said, ugh, gross to cow's milk cheese. I don't give a shit about cheese.
If you don't like cheese, you don't like cheese. I like some sheep's milk cheese, goat's milk cheese, and salad is really good. But yeah, if you're not into it.
People were acting like I was insulting all sheep everywhere and their cheese, and
it doesn't matter. You can write. It's like that Twitter meme. I really like pancakes. Why do you hate waffles? Like that's our job. You know what I mean? That's every day at our job. And we have a new comment moderator, and she's like, "What the hell? This is crazy." And we're like, "Yup. Thank you. We thought we were crazy." So speaking of trolls, a new royal biography came out by Tom Bower, and it was called Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors. Now, it was supposed to come out on July 21st, although when you check on Amazon, there's no Kindle available. It's not available directly from Amazon, and it's not on Barnes & Noble.
I haven't looked on Amazon for the book since it first started being discussed in the tabloids. I didn't double check that. I think that Bower was only really trying to sell it in Britain.
Okay.
He hasn't done much promotion for it in America.
It's available through other sites, but it's curious how it's kind of been taken off of there. And it's just a garbage book.
Yeah.
It's like a telephone version of all the stories about Meghan we've heard, like mixed up and told in a slightly different way.
It reminds me a lot, you won't remember this, but there was this so-called royal biographer, Lady Colin Campbell.
I remember. I read all your coverage. Come on.
All right, so she's like Bower. She's like a huge troll. And she's written 2 or 3 books already about Meghan, and she uses like the same kind of phrasing, and this is an impeccable source, and you know, like, and it's just some bullshit that like Samantha Markle told her, you know, and she's like, this is an impeccable source. And it's clear that Tom Bower like spoke to Meghan's father and probably to Samantha as well. And he's just not even naming them. He's like, well, a source told me this.
Yeah. Or he like just read the old coverage and retooled it. But yeah, he's full of shit.
And I'm absolutely positive that he's talking to like deranger people on the internet, like the anti-Sussex trolls. And he's just using their theories and he's presenting it as some sort of factual evidence. So
we have Facebook. I've had Facebook for us for ages. And they changed the algorithm like late in the spring. And there's posts that are getting hundreds of comments, thousands of reactions. It's all about Meghan. And there'll be a picture of the Cambridges that'll get like 40,000 likes. It's going crazy. I don't even look at it anymore. And if sometimes I limit the comments on the Harry and Meghan stories just because I don't want to hear those old biddies bitching. It's always old white women, and I am an old white woman, so I can fucking say that, okay? Sometimes it's old men, white men. It's just bad. It's so bad.
I never check the comments on Facebook. I don't like even looking on that at all.
Don't.
But yeah, I've gotten some trolls on Twitter, but I always just mute them or block them. And I hate when people interact with them on my thread. Don't do that.
Oh, I hate that too. So my favorite story from Bower's book was about how Meghan told Harry's friends at a hunting party to stop making misogynistic and transphobic jokes. And he presented it like it was a bad thing. I was like, that's awesome. I do that too with people.
Apparently all of them were like, oh, let's, make the most offensive jokes possible. And Meghan just sat there and she was like, you're wrong. You're an asshole. You're terrible. This is why you shouldn't say that.
She called him an asshole, but I think she corrected them
like
the boss that she is.
He absolutely presented it like evil Meghan tells off Harry's oldest friends. Well, now we understand why Harry did cut off so many of his friends, especially if any part of that went down the way Bauer claims.
It's probably veiled racism too, but they were careful about it around her, but she microaggressions
They
and
weren't
things
that,
like that
careful.
Maybe you're right, yeah.
I mean, considering what they've already said to her and about her.
Yeah. And they're probably similar to Mike Tyndall and the bullshit that he spouts. So Bauer also tried to claim that Meghan was hysterical over her 2017 Vanity Fair cover, which had the title Wild About Harry, because the palace was mad at her about that headline, even though they'd given her approval to do the interview with Vanity Fair.
And we don't know for sure that the palace gave the approval. But the point I made in my coverage of it was, in the years that have passed, no one from the royal family or whatever, they never made the point of, and she gave that Vanity Fair interview. That's why we hate her too. No, that's because it was authorized.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It was always authorized implicitly or explicitly by the palace. They were already working with her with the image making or, whatever. She would have never given that interview if she didn't have Harry's approval and the palace's approval. That's my point.
Yeah. And then the journalist who worked with her on that, Sam Kashner, refuted Bauer's account of that and said he admired and respected her and she was warm and gracious. And everybody says nice things about her always. Unless they're anonymous sources.
Yeah.
And there was also like a retelling of the Meghan made Kate cry at the bridesmaid tights fitting story. And this time Meghan's best friend, Jessica Mulrooney, was involved. It was just so fucking stupid. Like, shut up about that story.
Bauer was just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this, like, no, for real. Meghan made Kate cry. And here's the reason why Kate cried, because something about tights, and Meghan took Jessica's side, and Meghan compared Jessica's daughter to Princess Charlotte. And trust us, Kate cried, okay? So that's why Duchess of Tights was trending for days.
Duchess of Tights. She's such a dumbass. So the book also made other royals look bad. And you wrote that happens with a lot of these pro-Cambridge books. They reveal too much about the Windsors, and it makes them look like the assholes that they are, because you can't hide that. And so Duchess Camilla joked in 2017 that Meghan and Harry's children were going to have ginger afros.
Mm-hmm. Which I believe. I mean, I believe that Camilla would say something like that.
Yeah. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, and I think she would say a lot worse.
Yeah.
Probably to Meghan or to Harry, or it got back to them. I think that there's probably a reason why Charles seems so obsessed with the idea that Harry is going to come after Camilla in his memoir. Like, obviously, Charles is just obsessed with Camilla in general. But I think...
Why?
Even Charles knows that Camilla likes to be racist and likes inappropriate humor. She's a fucking bigot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Camilla was absolutely one of the racist people in the royal family. But was that the person that Harry and Meghan referenced in the Oprah interview? Probably not.
There was an article claiming she wasn't. She's not the senior royal. Whatever. Like, She could be racist too. She is. And then we heard that Harry's memoir is written, and Omid Scobie did one of his columns for Yahoo, and he said that the manuscript is ready and it's passed legal checks. So we're hoping to get that this year.
Yeah. I like my theory that they're going to release it at the last minute with barely any advanced promotion, just because as soon as that gets a release date, a smear campaign is going to ramp up.
They're going to tell on themselves.
Yeah.
But Scobie, they always do that. But Scobie said it's not an attack on the royal family. And
it's not.
That's what we've been saying all along. It won't be.
I've said this before on the podcast. Like, I think it's going to be more like The Me You Can't See, his Apple TV series.
Focusing on his feelings.
Yeah, his feelings. And there will be actual news there. And there will be like shady shit about the royals. But it's not going to be like, oh, here's a dishy tell-all about the royals.
Yeah. It'll be matter of fact about the terrible things they did, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scobie's latest column this week is about Prince William and how he wants his work to have a global impact. And we've heard that they're going to have Earthshot in Boston in December. So they're trying to make a splash over in the U.S. and it's like, no.
Yeah. William is apparently very keen on reaching beyond Britain, and he wants American charity money. He wants American media.
We know how he's gone over in Africa, telling people are having too many kids. And
well, I guess he's just not concerned at all about Commonwealth countries. He's like, I'm always going to flop there. Maybe America will love me.
So the best royal story with this week was that Kate's sister Pippa had a newborn daughter, and she named her Rose, which is
shady.
Oh, it's shady. And that's, of course, the name of William's alleged mistress, Rose Hanbury. So this is Pippa's third child with James Matthews. They also have Arthur, who's 3, and Grace, who's 1. So it is shady.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it would have been exactly like Diana's sister naming her daughter Camilla.
Camilla, yes.
You don't do that to a sister.
Yeah, so they must be having some friction between them. And then Pippa got her master's degree in physical education, and she and James moved into a larger estate. So she's living the life that Kate probably wishes she could have.
Not just her master's degree in physical education, with a significant priority on early years physical education. So, the importance of physical education for young early years children. So, she got her master's, and there's some talk that she's going to go even further, that maybe she'll get her PhD.
That'd be cool.
She's an even more credible expert than Kate.
Yeah. Kate's real good at asking the right questions, though.
There was some doctor who was like, she repeated everything I said back to me. And that's
pretty much what she said, but she phrased it all like intelligently and nice. But yeah, that's pretty much what she said. I remember that. All right. All right, let's talk about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. So they eloped in Las Vegas at the Little White Chapel on July 17th. And Emme and Seraphina were the only children there. And we heard from page 6 that it was, quote, very minimally planned in advance and was largely spur of the moment. And then Jennifer wanted to lock it down. We know what happened the last time they were about to get married.
Exactly. And I think she was just afraid of a repeat, that if she drew this out any longer than it needed to be, that he was going to get cold feet again, or he would, I don't know, just find some way to fuck it up, because he likes to self-sabotage.
He will do that. That's his pattern for years and years.
I thought it was kind of cool that they just eloped, and it felt suitably low-key for him.
Well, they made up for it with their honeymoon birthday trip. So after the news came out from their wedding, you wrote, quote, I bet they arranged their honeymoon around a birthday trip to celebrate everything together. And you were right. That's what they did. And Jennifer Affleck, that's her new name, and Ben, they went to Paris with their 14-year-old twins, Max and Emmy, and Ben's daughters, Violet, 16, and Seraphina, 13. I wrote all that down, and it sounds like I'm reading it because I am.
Well, so Seraphina and Emmy are like little best friends. They are super tight, cute. And they've already been seen out and about together a bunch of times already.
They look like they're having a great time, yeah.
Yeah, they really seem close. And it's cool to see Violet there, because we haven't been seeing a lot of like Violet interacting with Jennifer Lopez that much. Maybe there's beef there, maybe there isn't, who knows.
It's made it sound like she didn't go to the wedding because she was being loyal to her mom. That's what page 6 wrote.
Yeah.
Covered.
I don't know.
They all look like they're having a great time in Paris.
Yeah, and I like their whole vibe. I mean, yes, it's extra, and yes, like Jennifer is changing her clothes. She's doing 4 costume changes a day.
Compare them to the Sussexes in New York City. There's so many pictures of these two. They're never exclusives, ever.
No.
So we get them. We get the cheap subscription, so we get them.
Yeah, and I went from thinking, oh God, these are so extra. Ben, like, he looked so anxious, to like really enjoying their whole vibe. They were doing the whole wealthy tourist thing, and they looked like they were actually having fun, and that Ben was doing it for Jennifer and the kids. That's what I like too, that he was just kind of going along with it and being a middle-aged dad.
That's what he wants you to think, but there's also the side where he always is doing pep walks with his girlfriends.
Oh, yeah.
So he's the common denominator.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to do pap strolls with Ana de Armas and
Lindsay Shookus. But J.Lo is really into it. Like, she's all into that demonstrative love. You know.
Yeah, and I like their whole, like, they're going out to eat. They go to museums. They've been doing a lot of shopping. I just think that's nice to see celebrities just behave like regular rich tourists. You know, they're not like, oh, we must do the most exclusive thing possible and then we're going to leave in a day.
So they could go anywhere. Like, if I had all that money, I would go to like Maldives or something and get a whole villa and just chill out there and have other people make me food and everything. But obviously, but like they're going to a big city and doing big city things. So good for them.
Yeah, and I think they wanted their kids to experience Paris in a nice way like this. You know, just going to museums and going to really cool but regular restaurants and not going to the most exclusive areas.
Yeah, it's cute.
It must be really nice for the kids.
They look like it's a blast for them. I've never been to Paris. I've only been to like the French countryside, and it looks cool. I don't really care if I go. Like, I'm not a big, oh my God, I have to see that city person, because I lived in Europe for a while and I like it there, but I don't need to go back a lot, you know?
Yeah, I've never been to Paris. I would like to go, mostly just to see Roland Garros, the tennis.
Oh, okay. You want to go see tennis, yeah. That's cool. I would like to go to the Louvre.
Yeah,
some
me
of
too.
The museums, some of the littler museums and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I will do it, but it's cool.
Go see Jim Morrison's grave. Ooh.
Oh yeah, maybe I would do that too. When I was like a teenager, my son's age, I read every book about Jim Morrison there was.
I went through a Jim Morrison phase too. I went through a Beatles phase, a Jim Morrison phase. I never went through an Elvis phase though.
No, I don't think Elvis engenders that kind of late like death fandom. I mean, maybe it does for some people, but like I don't know anybody who did that either, you know. I don't know anybody who saw that Elvis biopic.
Apparently it was okay. Like the reviews were all right. I'm interested to see if Austin Butler will get nominated for anything, because it's a big splashy biopic. I wonder.
Maybe. Oh, I wanted to give a shout out to Karen, who is in Europe traveling right now, and she's going to meet with Sarah and Alnaz. And I wanted to wish happy birthday to Zakia, who just had her birthday this week. Happy birthday. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week.
You want me to do mine first?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, okay. I changed mine at the last minute because I had to like really search for this comment.
Oh, okay.
So this was from the post about Prince William thinks that Princess Diana's Panorama interview was a false narrative. And like this has been happening for a few years now, where Prince William has been really pissing all over his mother's memory and like trying to erase her narrative and her voice. And like, so there was a larger conversation in the comments about Charles and the actual history between Charles and Camilla and Diana. And commenter NYC 212 wrote, "The only false narrative people have taken from that narrative is that Camilla was Charles's true love and he only ran around with her. Let's be clear, Charles was for the streets. He was running around with 5 or 6 women at the time, none of them worth mentioning save for one." And that's true. Charles was cheating with a lot of different women.
Yeah.
Camilla was just kind of his standby, his favorite.
And maybe she had more appeal because she was married.
Well, most of his lovers were married.
Okay. Well, that shows you how much I know, but still.
He preferred married mistresses.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, William's always going to have that opinion because it serves him. And Harry, believes his mom and listened to what she had to say because Harry listens to people and William doesn't.
Yeah, there's some sort of quid pro quo happening between William and Charles right now.
Mm.
It's interesting. I wonder how it's going to play out long term because I don't think it's going to end well for William.
Especially when Charles is officially making the decisions in the family. So my comment of the week is just a nice comment. It's on the post where Gwyneth Paltrow says she's happy to be turning 50. Also, there's a couple candidates for comment of the week on the Gwyneth Paltrow says nepotism babies have to work twice as hard post. But I didn't want to do too many. Like one person said, and I'll link that in the post because I don't have their username right now, but they said they have to work twice as hard because they're not trained and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, basically. And I was like, yes. Yes. A couple people said that in different ways, like responding to each other. So I'll link those in this post. But this was just a sweet one. And Joan wrote, quote, I'm turning 50 in a week and I'm making this the summer of self-care. I've lost too many people I loved who were too young, so I will not complain. I'm grateful to be here. 50 is bringing an exciting new phase where no one else's opinions matter to me. I have confidence because of everything I've been through and I just want to feel good. And I really felt that. Like I'm 49, but I felt that,
That's nice. It's really nice.
It is nice. Yeah, you give less fucks the older you get. You're like, okay, I've been through worse.
I haven't given a shit about anyone or anything since like my mid-30s.
You're good at that. I'm learning. I'm getting there.
I'm like, all of you motherfuckers can rot and die as far as I care. That's my self-care.
I mean, you have to be that way to be so good at your job. You do. Because, you hate waffles. Why don't you like sheep's ricotta and you don't like things the same way as me, so I'm going to shit on your opinion. All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again. That was fun. I missed you.
Yeah, that was nice. I'm totally out of practice.
No, you couldn't tell.